Hello and welcome back to In the Kitchen with Mimi. Today we're going to be making a sweet potato casserole in our Instant Pot. And I am using an 8-quart Instant Pot Ultra because we're going to pressure cook these potatoes directly in the pot without a trivet or without a steamer basket. I'm going to put in just a little bit of, I use olive oil spray, and that way if something were to stick to the bottom, it won't be crusty. So we're just going to put just a light spritz of the olive oil. And then I'm using 2 1/3 cups of orange juice. And the kind that I've chosen to use today is my favorite brand. It's Tropicana. It's not from concentrate, 100% orange juice. And this one is the home style that has some pulp. And then we're going to use 3 cups of peeled and cubed sweet potatoes. This year it seems to have been very difficult to find nice large sweet potatoes, but I finally managed to get some. I think it's because it's close to the holidays. And I'm just kind of layering those in the bottom evenly. And we're going to put our lid on. And because I'm using the Instant Pot Ultra, this one does not have the steam release valve that you need to turn. It automatically does it for you. The pin is dropped down, we're in normal position, and I'm going to cook this for 10 minutes on high pressure. So I'll select my pressure cook, press my button, select my time, go down to 10 minutes, and then press start on the Ultra. And we'll be back in about 10 minutes to see how things are going. While the sweet potatoes are cooking in the Instant Pot for 10 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and measure out the rest of the ingredients that we will be adding to the sweet potatoes in a little bit. First thing we want to do is measure out a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, and you can use light brown sugar, dark brown sugar, just whatever your preference is. I just stick my measuring cup in the package and I start packing that sugar in. Whenever you're using brown sugar, it's kind of a moist sugar, so you're going to want to pack it into the cup. And I just use my hand inside of the bag to kind of smooth over the tops. I've got a 1/4 cup of light brown sugar. I'm going to add that to my measuring cup that I'm mixing in. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Okay. A 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and I am using the Badia brand ground nutmeg. It's a fresh bottle, so it's very, very strong smelling. It smells wonderful. 1/4 teaspoon there. And then a 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger, and I'm using the McCormick brand of the ground ginger. Put that right in. And I don't really have any preference to the brands of these. I just use whatever I have handy, whatever I have available. And sometimes if I have the opportunity, if I get to go to a store where they might have organic spices, I do like to get those because they are so very, very flavorful. But other than that, just whatever you can get in your store. All right, so salt, ground nutmeg, ground ginger, and I'm going to go ahead and just kind of use a little whisk here to mix this up a little bit. It's not necessary. I mean, you can put all of this directly into your pot, but I kind of like to do this whenever I'm making something. I like to mix those spices around so that there's nothing in there that gets one spot that has one spice very strongly. And we've got a little ball of, there we go, a little ball of brown sugar. And if you do this too, it allows you to really blend up that brown sugar so that you don't wind up with big clumps of it in your pot or in your sweet potatoes. All right, so I've got that mixed up. Now we're also going to be using 1/3 cup of orange juice. We did put those potatoes in orange juice. However, when we get finished with cooking them, we're going to drain that orange juice out of it. So we're not going to reserve that to use it. I want to use a fresh 1/3 cup of orange juice. And again, I'm using Tropicana. And there we go. Pure premium, 100% orange juice, not from concentrate, home style with some pulp. You may want to use it without pulp. It's just according to what your preferences are. All right, and then the last thing that I'm going to measure out is 2 tablespoons of butter. Now, my preference after doing a lot of research is to use a um, butter that is not from the United States. Something that is, for example, this is pure Irish butter. It says it's Kerrygold, milk from grass-fed cows. The only reason I do that is because the butter that comes from the United States has a high water content. So if you can get butter from elsewhere, you're going to wind up with a little bit more butter fat than just water. So I don't need to add water to my dish. I want to use strictly the butter. All right, so we're going to do 2 tablespoons of that, and I'm going to just cut that, and there we go. Pierce it and then cut straight down, and I cut right through the packaging. And then we're going to pull that off, and we're just going to let that sit so that it gets room temperature, and I'm allowing that orange juice to get room temperature. That way, when we mix it in, we're not getting cold spots and making our sweet potato casserole cold. So we get it all to room temperature, the butter and everything is a little easier to deal with. Okay, our sweet potatoes have completely cooked, and I have released the pressure on it. So now let's open it up and see what they look like. Wow, looks good. We need to drain these before we mash them, so I'll be right back. So the sweet potatoes have been drained, and I'm going to start mashing them. Wow, they are so tender. And as we mash, I'm going to start adding, let's go ahead and add our butter so it can start melting through and being combined with that. And I'm going to add the orange juice in now. All of this we had measured out before and let it come to room temperature as the other was cooking. And I'll start to stir. And my Instant Pot is on the keep warm setting. I decided to keep it that way until we got all of these ready. And then I'm going to add the dry ingredients that we had measured out, the spices, ginger, nutmeg, salt, and the brown sugar. So get that in. And keep mashing and mixing. Get this well combined. It's looking beautiful. Now, if you want to, you can put this in a casserole dish. Put some marshmallows on top. Toast that for just a little bit until your marshmallows are brown. Just don't forget it. You don't want to burn those marshmallows. All right, there we are. Sweet potato casserole ready for Thanksgiving dinner.